Because MLB is morally, ethically, and every kind of bankrupt that there is.
Hello, and welcome to Brain Protein, a podcast about the science of becoming super swole, bro. I am joined today by Aaron and Rachel. Aaron, what is your secret to becoming a super jacked alpha male?
Fucking easy, okay? You have to get a hold of a bunch of HGH. I am talking more HGH than you thought was actually available. And then what you need to do, okay? It's really easy again. Is you need to get. Sorry, I had a bunch of coke I had to do. You have to get a friend, okay? And your friend has to go to med school. This is all right.
Yeah, this is an important step in the
your
process.
friend who's a great med school, and he's gonna sign off on every. You just get all that HGH and you pump it into yourself. Pump it into yourself. And then you go into CrossFit 7 days a week, 24 days a day, and you just fucking get swole. That's the way you do it. Eat nothing but liver, eat nothing but testicles and liver and organs. Swole.
Aaron has perfectly summarized what everything in this episode is going to be. I was initially going to include Rachel in this bit, but she is wearing a CrossFit shirt.
I know,
right
I feel
now.
so targeted today.
And it's Magnus, too.
I know, but it's rainbow colors, so you know
That's
one
true.
thing.
It is
But
Magnus.
I don't go to this gym anymore, so make all
Hey,
the jokes you
also, by the way, Shark, good luck equalizing that audio.
I know, for real. Oh, yeah, I was going to include Rachel, but then I saw the shirt and was like, she might give our listeners helpful advice, which is strongly against our bylaws.
It is. It's very
Yeah, good
against the
choice.
bylaws.
Yeah.
The bylaws have been ratified.
Yeah, she might give them workout tips, which is strictly not allowed.
Not what we're here for.
No.
The only workout tip I can give you is, if you have a workout that you want to do that day, but you're feeling kind of just don't do it.
Yeah,
Mhm,
that's what I do every day.
That was me yesterday, and I spent the day instead getting very irate at open source developers who have shitty documentation.
That is how.
Why do you do that to yourself, Aaron?
Well, because I wanted to open the charging ports on Teslas.
Okay, fair enough.
Redacted.
It's just a light fun, and I never said that I did it, did I? I never said that I did it, did I?
Bleep. Alright. So, shockingly, there is not enough expertise on getting ripped between the three of us to run a podcast like the one we mentioned. So instead, welcome to The Right Can't Read, which is a podcast about how the right wing have done very few arts and cultures, so they steal them instead. My name is Robert, and I'm joined today by Rachel and Aaron. Say the U words.
Hello.
Usually, umbrella,
Mm,
umlaut, ubiquitous,
Uranus.
Uranus.
All right, that's enough of you
Uvula.
guys. So,
All
so Aaron, Rachel, would you rather be Dana Scully or Fox Mulder?
Dana
Fox.
Scully.
Great. I'm glad we've established this as the episode goes on. I'm glad the answers were so easy.
I mean, what are the? It's got to be Fox. Fox has a sense of wonder about the world.
So you will be our alpha male believer, and Rachel will be our alpha male skeptic.
Oh, I don't want to do
Shocking.
that. Oh.
Now that we've gotten that out of the way,
Oh.
for this episode, you'll join me in cryptozoology.
Well, they're real. Cryptids are real.
That was
Dana.
my next question. Do you
Scully,
have a
what
favorite
you
one?
need? Oh,
Favorite cryptid, Scully?
yeah. What's the Hodag?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like I like a good regional cryptid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mothman's good.
Mothman
Hodag
is
is
good.
good, yeah.
I
Mhm.
remember watching the Mothman Prophecies, the movie that was from I don't know late 90s, early 2000s, sometime, and I feel like I'm the only person alive who has seen
I
that.
think you might have been. Oh,
Being mildly creeped out by it as a kid, but yeah.
So we all have our favorite cryptids. The
Wait,
American
what is your favorite cryptid?
objectively Batboy, who's not a proper cryptid. I just love a good media hoax, especially when it intersects with cryptids.
And one that's just so obviously bullshit.
That's so fucking good. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The American political right has, of course, set out to ruin the majesty of making up fake animals, which is humankind's best quality, objectively speaking.
It is.
They have
We've got a long history of this through,
Yeah.
with Herodotus, people before Herodotus.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of good bits in the histories of him just making up weird animals.
Yeah, it's the best part of being a human is you get
Yeah.
to be like, what if horse but horn?
What if lizard but fly?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So instead of talking about any of these fun cryptids like Batboy or dragons or Bigfoot or Mothman, we instead have to spend
Dragons
today,
are real though.
but birds aren't.
That is a fact. They're yeah.
We instead have to spend today exploring the far corners of the internet in search of the elusive alpha male, a hard to discover cryptid. What are your two experiences with the alpha male? I assume as a nerd and a woman who does sports, they're extensive.
I had a lot of nerd friends who really wanted to be alpha males. And there was this one guy who turned into a complete psychopath, which is not surprising at all.
Yes.
But I don't know when it was he decided that he was going to be an alpha male. So like he was also overweight, but like whereas I just kind of like went, I guess that's fine. I'll just hold it against myself for a while. He chose to basically starve himself, with the exception of like one meal of rice and chicken a day, and until he just whittled his weight down, and just kept on that diet for I think the rest of his life.
That's so contrary to like the whole.
Well, and then he started working out, and
Okay.
then started getting on the whole basically the right libertarian route.
Classic.
Where it was like, just during college, he would pull shit like talk a group of people into going to a different town to go watch a movie because he was charismatic, and he had this thing where he would talk people into doing something because he heard whatever, and then like be like, yeah, that theater's really good, we should go to that theater. But it was because he had started like sexting with someone online and found out like where they lived, and so he would just like
Oh my God.
to go hook up, and then turned into heavy right winger. With the last time I heard, well, a couple started going on about how he's going to show Antifa what for if they come here to his door with like his guns. And then one of my friends in Japan was still like, he stumbled into talking to him online, and the guy was saying, well, the reason the Japanese are okay with masks is because they don't have
great when you start a sentence with the reason the Japanese.
No, he's like, they don't have a sense of individuality, and they have a soft speaking voice anyway. So just
so lame.
So every alpha male type that I've met has been in that area.
That seems right.
That's pretty similar to my experiences. Like in college, I was like, kind of was adjacent to some of like the football players, and I went to a Big Ten school, so they're huge dudes to start off with, but then like they got to keep up their persona and whatever. But surprisingly, not a lot of guys that I went to the CrossFit gym with were like that. It's a I think that's an exception to like my gym versus like a lot of other CrossFit gyms.
Yeah.
But actually I was in Coeur d'Alene last weekend, and
I'm sorry.
People were
It's not gonna go well.
It was a beautiful, beautiful place. Love it there. But I was told that when there were some protests or something was happening in Spokane, And all of a sudden, the people in CDA were being like, "Oh, now they're gonna come over here. It's Antifa. Like, gotta get ready." Blah blah blah.
Jesus
They
Christ.
all lined up, like hundreds of people with their AR-15s, all their different guns, like strapped to their body, just like on the main drag of CDA, just like waiting for people to roll into town.
Holy
It was
fuck.
like,
Well,
oh
Coeur
my
d'Alene,
God.
I think that's the area where there was at least one Nazi compound in
Yeah.
recent
Oh.
memory, right?
I
think
don't know
so.
about that. I
Yeah.
know that there's like a couple like truckloads of like guys like the Proud Boys were on their way with like a bunch of weapons in
That was fucking
the back of this
awesome. The
truck.
ones where they were in the U-Haul.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it I think that was like a big Nazi compound area.
I
and
wouldn't
I'm sure it
doubt
still
it
is.
at all.
So,
Yeah.
but you were in rugby too. Was there like a men's
Yeah.
rugby team?
Yeah, yeah. And
Good.
actually, men who played rugby, like the time that I was there, and all of my experience, if I've met other people throughout my life, every guy has been so great. Like
Okay.
the men's rugby culture is so like they're so nice. They're willing to help you out. They're not overly macho. You
It
know, it's
seems a
just
lot
like
like
a
where
really
you
good
go.
community.
It's like huge in Hawaii where I grew up, and it seems like where you go if you want to play football, but you're not like a huge fucking asshole.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew a few rugby players at UT and they were cool. I didn't
Yeah,
know if that was like a
yeah.
universal thing. Yeah.
Seems to be.
All right. So that's our
Good podcast.
field-
Thanks, guys. That was a
Yeah.
good chat.
That's our field experience with the alpha male.
Yeah.
Before we get further in this episode, I just need to clear one thing up. I will always be using he, him when I refer to alpha males as their pronoun. While being an asshole obviously has no gender, I do feel that all people who buy into this bullshit are honorary boys. Maybe,
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah.
maybe that isn't their identity most of the time, but if you ever utter the phrase, I am an alpha, you're male.
Is that a women? What do women do that?
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
At least
I-
online.
Okay. You know me. I don't talk to
Yeah.
so. Okay.
So just keep that in mind. Alpha males is a state of mind, not a gender identity. So let's begin at the end and work our way backwards. Just for people who are blessed to not know anything about this, let's start with what is an alpha male? Did you have something you wanted to contribute there?
Well, it sounded like you had more.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The best definition I could find was from a great article by journalist Jesse Singal in New York Magazine. Important note, this sounds like an endorsement by Singal, but they're super critical of alpha males. They're just describing how these people view themselves.
Okay.
Quote,
Important context.
yeah, important context, because it does sound like they're trying to be nice to them, but they're really not. Quote, alphas get their way because they know how to, because they know not to back down. To butcher the old expression, women respond to alpha's strength by wanting them. Men respond to it by wanting to be them. But a liaison, relationship, or friendship can only occur on the alpha's terms. He neither has an inclination to compromise, nor any need to, since he can always get, let's be honest, take what he wants. Alphas offer few wasted words. You won't see them sputtering some nonsense about their feelings or begging others to like them. That's just how they describe themselves.
Yeah. I think it's in our episodes about the internet, we talked a bit about like Dunning-Kruger and overconfidence. Very heavy into overconfidence and just kind of like the bluff as a way to head off any competition.
Mm.
Oh, Aaron, you are just calling the shots on this episode. This is fucking Steph Curry.
That's wait, no,
three-pointers all
calling
day.
shots is Babe Ruth. They don't
He
call
did.
shots in basketball, do they?
Not traditionally, no, but
But yeah, it's like an overconfidence thing, heavy on machismo and heavy leaning into like traditional values and like the pristine man's role of society. And it's like I remember there was some Rudyard Kipling poem that he wrote to his son. I think it's If. Yeah. And there is a tendency for these types to kind of take stuff like that and turn it real dark.
yes.
And same with like stoicism. That's like they turn stoicism real dark instead of Marcus Aurelius just writing in his diary, like, remember they're gonna die, just let it go. Like that's the central crux of stoicism from Aurelius's perspective. but it gets turned into this whole like
Oh my god, I
a
forgot.
real man doesn't show his emotions because he knows that if he doesn't show his emotions, he wins on the field of battle, and everything is a battle.
I didn't include it in this episode, but I found an Instagram that I forget what it was fucking called, but it was like Stoic Carnivore or something, and it was some dude. It was just Marcus Aurelius quotes over sepia tone pictures of women's asses. That the like comments were about how you should only eat meat, and I was
Oh my
like, "This is beautiful. This is
There-
why I come to the internet."
There was a bit in Silicon Valley where Richard, who's like the main guy and is the CEO and just kind of this like reedy, unethical, kind of nebbish dude, he hires his former manager into his company, but he starts getting bullied by the guy, and one of the other like main guys, Dinesh, shows him this video. It's like Alpha 9000 or something, and it's just this dumb heavy metal riff over like pictures of cars, hot women,
Yeah.
eagles, lions killing.
It's
and-
exactly like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's a pretty good summary. In short, like alphas are tough, traditional men, like you said. Strong, assertive, silent leaders, not scared of anyone, all that bullshit. Think like John Wayne or Chris Kyle or Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Important note, one of the people in that list is a psychotic serial killer from Texas, and the other is Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Never pass up an opportunity to take a shot at Chris Kyle, much like his
hold
friend
on.
at the gun
news.
range.
Breaking news. Ron DeSantis, his campaign launch on Twitter borked itself by being on Twitter.
Did it really?
Yeah, BBC headline was like just plagued with technical issues.
Nice.
Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, like, we obviously can't condemn this trope and the personality type, like, wholesale. Strong, charismatic, leading men are, like, in some ways evocative in, like, writing and culture. Conan the Barbarian, Han Solo, Ned Stark.
Oh,
Conan the Barbarian. Not the choice I would not have expected Conan from
Yeah.
you.
Tell me you
Yeah.
don't want fucking 80s, 90s? When was Conan?
Early 80s.
Or 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger
God,
to just
what-
wrap you up and kill all your problems.
What is best yeah, I had a my first job out of college
Was to be Conan?
was to be Conan. It was at a social work agency, and every time my boss had to go into meetings with Marsha Blackburn, who was just a state rep at that time, I would I would psych her up by saying, "Fredna, what is best in life?" She would respond in like an East Tennessee accent: "To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lament to women."
nice.
Hell yes.
Yeah, 82.
Oh.
That was when it came.
All of these characters are great because in truth we are all somewhat drawn to the idea of having a big strong daddy to keep us safe and warm. Rachel notwithstanding. Not,
Barry. That's Barry for me.
yeah. Oh. However, few tropes have been able to leap from the page and into real life as intensely as this one. So how exactly did the alpha male turn from this sort of like media stock character into one of the reasons your uncle voted for Donald Trump? To answer this question, we need to learn biology facts. Bam, 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 biology facts. Are we all excited for biology
I am.
facts?
That kind of
Let's do
sounded more
it.
like an X-Wing.
Yeah, that did sound a lot like an X-Wing. Your Star Wars is showing.
My Star Wars, dude. It doesn't ever not show.
Oh. So, to successfully track and kill the alpha male, we first have to follow his trail through our culture. While the concept of dominance has always been a staple of both biology and human interaction, alphas who dominated a social group through violence only got a strong basis in pseudoscience pretty recently. Before the bad science worked its way into the mainstream, the concept was less impactful because what some dude screams at the gym just seems less important if he doesn't have studies to back it up,
Mm-hmm.
in my experience. Alpha first really broke through in 1970 when a biologist and huge fucking wolf girl named L. David Meach used the term to describe captive wolf dominance behavior in his book, creatively titled The Wolf.
Not even trying for like a good academic title with
Nope.
a colon, dashes.
Yeah,
It
two
originally
sentences
had
long.
a colon. I
Okay.
edited out the second half of the title.
What is the second half?
It's like the wolf captive breeding behavior or something like that.
There we
It's on
go.
a-
There
yeah,
we
it's,
go,
it's,
yeah.
it's a proper academic thing. Yeah.
All right. Okay, good.
Yeah. It was the first moment when, as a society, we got to fuse like pop culture macho men with something that sounded scientific and biology-y.
Okay.
It was a fun idea for people that wolves were all ruled by one Han Solo who beat the piss out of anyone who disagreed.
I think Conan is probably the better thing. Han doesn't
I knew Aaron would hate it
always
if I
get into
slandered
fights.
Han.
Doesn't always get into fights. I mean, he
He
shoots
shot first. Yes.
I know, but it's not like he goes into the cantina trying to fight. He tries to get away from Greedo first. Until that happens, until that fails, then he shoots.
This is a Han
He's a
apologist
Sigma man.
podcast. He's a
He's
Sigma
a
man.
Sigma male,
Jesus
Charlie.
fucking Christ. So hard to not get into any of that. I wrote so much of it, and I was like, none of it will be in my podcast. I will not discuss gammas or sigmas or deltas or any of that shit. I am an
We're
alpha
not
male
talking about
Sigma.
Aldous Huxley's Brave New World in this episode.
I almost mentioned it, but I cut it right before we recorded. I will not. I am an alpha male purist. I am a traditionalist. There are alphas and betas.
Real internet 2015 energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else is blasphemy. I almost got into Vox Day and all those fucking assholes. I won't do it. I won't do it. You hear me, listener? I won't do it. Yeah. So,
Breath.
yeah, like one big wolf daddy is like pretty heavy metal. Wolves are already cool, and we like badass man wolves who like dominate people. I'm a True Blood fan. I understand.
Never saw that.
Wrong. It's incredible.
That's what I heard.
It's really good. You should watch.
Okay.
You would.
But
hate-
I watched Brotherhood of the Wolf.
No,
That was a good movie.
it's
It was a good movie.
not True Blood.
I did watch True Blood, but I honestly
Were there-
remember it being about vampires and not werewolves. Am I
There's
right?
a-
Am I
there-
wrong?
it's mostly about vampires, but there is a werewolf played by that incredibly hot guy. You know, the hot guy from the movies. He's werewolf daddy. He's big, thick werewolf daddy, and I get it. I get what people like
Nice.
about
Okay.
he's alpha thick werewolf daddy, and I understand why people like it.
Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah. Leonard Bernstein plays True Blood. The titular-
Leonard Bernstein is True Blood in True Blood.
the titular character of the True Blood TV show. Oh, okay. I'm struggling here. Yeah. Well, there were two problems with Meech's.
We're doing great. We like recording on a weekday.
There were two problems with Meech's scientific book that kept the alpha concept from becoming like the pop culture icon it could be.
To be clear, he was not a mensch.
He was fine.
Disagree.
No,
I have no basis for that. But
no L. David Meech slander. The first thing that kept it from being big is that he was super wrong, and everyone thought he was wrong very quickly, including him. And he was like, "I'm wrong, and I'm sorry." The second thing that got in the way was he was talking about wolves, and because he's a scientist, he wasn't like, "You too could be a wolf." He was just like, and people were like, "Meh, wolves."
So the end
Yeah.
of his book was not just a big ad for supplements.
No, he was just
Okay.
like, "I like wolves, and here are wolf things."
Yeah, conclusion, I like wolves.
Yeah, which some might say makes it an okay book.
Okay.
However, the man after him was a Dutch primatologist
Yeah.
named Frans de Waals, and he wrote a book called Chimpanzee Politics.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's the correct reaction, Rachel.
That's just funny
I'm
because
very into this.
when I was talking to someone at Aaron and I's old work a couple months ago, and she recommended that I read that book.
Oh, fuck
And
yeah.
And I was like, I looked it up online. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do that, but thank you.
Why did she tell you to read it? Was she teaching you to be an alpha?
I honestly don't know. Oh, it was because of just like how to learn how to work with the people that we used to work with at our company.
That makes sense. There was a lot of ripping each other's faces off at that place.
Oh, that's so
yeah, so I
fucking
thought that
awesome.
was pretty weird.
The next 4 paragraphs of this is just me ripping into anyone who recommends this book in a corporate setting. So
Excellent.
fuck your coworker.
Nah, that's a weird.
It was
She's been at that place for too long.
correct. I'm glad that you know who I'm talking about
Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
I have to go close my door real quick. I'll be back.
All right. Vamp. At least no one's tried to get you to read The Black Swan.
Is that?
It's a bullshit business book.
Oh,
It's like
I've never heard of it.
the idea is there's only one black swan in your life, and you have to like put everything into finding that black swan to be fit for life. It's a stupid book. It's
Mhm.
written by an investor.
All business books are
Yeah.
stupid.
They are. I have read many. They're all very dumb.
Business.
I've read none, and I still think they're all dumb.
Yeah. Wise.
My dad tried to get me to read several when I was in college because he thought that it would.
Here's how to business.
Yeah, he thought that it would make me throw away my English track degree. I don't know. You've met my dad, Shark. That should track.
Aaron was like, "No, Dad, I'm going into creative writing for the money." A business decision.
Look at Stephen King.
Yeah. Ooh. Look at Stephen King. Now, what if you took Stephen King and made his work inaccessible and strange? It'd be huge. I'll make so much money.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So Wall did a series of studies on captive chimps, and he used his findings to relate the way chimp politics work in captivity to some of the ways humans interact. It's a fine book. He's also a fine scientist. I'm not coming for the guy. He's done some good work, and to the best of my knowledge, is not a weird grifter. He is pretty clear in interviews that chimps are better people than anyone who recommends his book.
But I like how you say all of that, but you have like a slight look of disgust on your
Yeah,
face
it's-
as you say it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm about to get into people who recommend his book.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Let's go.
It's like it's
that's
just so
the
tainted
disgust.
by these recommendations
It
that you
really
just
is. When you hear the kinds of people who recommend it, you'll get it.
is it like well go ahead.
Like most scientists, Vol was not ready for how Dunninged people's Krugers often become. Especially those in power. See, most influential people are experts in becoming influential people and nothing else.
Hmm.
Congressmen, nationally syndicated reporters, and other people like that have like a cursory understanding of science at best, usually. So
Sun goes up, sun goes down.
tide goes
but
in, tide goes
Does
out.
not go up, go down. Earth
Yeah.
go round.
Exactly. Welcome,
go wobble.
welcome, State Rep Aaron Simon.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, so very quickly, the most ill-informed and ego-driven members of our society started pushing this book onto their subordinates with all the gusto of a DEA agent selling crack in LA.
It is it similar to the whole like executives suddenly getting huge into the art of war.
Absolutely. It's the
Okay.
same guy.
Mm.
They haven't
Yeah.
changed at all.
Jack Welch.
Yeah, it's big Jack Welch energy. One example of a person who does this, who's even somehow worse than Jack Welch, Newt Gingrich recommended this book
Yeah.
to all freshman congressmen in his caucus.
Yeah.
Is he still alive? He needs to.
Newt- Yeah, he is. Newt Gingrich is rapidly becoming friend of the pod status.
Yeah.
Popped up in 3 episodes in a row, 4 episodes in a row.
Yeah, he's just like a little troll under the bridge
Yeah.
of all bad things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, what a bastard.
Yeah.
The Chicago Tribune published an article on the book where they contrasted scenes of the chimpanzees being chimpanzees with scenes from like a corporate office.
I love that shit. That's like Koyaanisqatsi. That
Like,
is
why?
love it. Just experimental art documentary. Superimpose nature and humanity. Show that really we're nothing more than apes in captivity.
Show that when you need the copier and someone else needs the copier, it's just like two apes.
And all the meanwhile, Philip Glass orchestration going in the back. Koyaanisqatsi.
Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah. So
I love that whole thing of like it's the same vibes as like
Yeah.
seeing there's a shot in Koyaanisqatsi of like chickens being slaughtered and then people going into office buildings.
Oh my god.
that's awesome.
Uh,
Oh.
yeah, so
It's a cool
feels.
movie. You should see Koyaanisqatsi. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sure.
so that's like the genre of person.
Yeah.
And this just like metastasizes, and every weird fucking suit began to think of themselves as alpha males exerting their dominance in the bloody battlefield of the corporate structure.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, we all know the guys. They haven't changed in the 40 years this book was published. They all suck shit. This is the moment where alpha male began to become like a shorthand for men who use brutal means to achieve success in a way that a journalist writing about them finds scary, but also kind of arousing.
Mm-hmm. New York Times journalists specifically.
Big New York Times,
New
energy.
Yorker, New
Yeah.
York Magazine,
Any article that starts with like,
Esquire.
it was a rainy day in June when I first arrived at the coffee shop where I would meet
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
That's
Like
that's
any
a
of those
perfect,
articles.
perfect profile,
Yeah.
Esquire profile introduction.
Yeah.
He sat there in his $200 t-shirt. He seemed like he didn't care, and that's a very I can't
Yeah.
do it. You
Yeah.
can do it, apparently, Shark.
I've read so many of those fucking pieces because I want to look into the Lovecraftian abyss that is insanity. Like, you just Google the word Sam Bankman Fried, and you
Yeah.
will find 1,000 of these
Yeah.
fucking articles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all
written-
come from the same
Yeah.
3 writing workshops.
Yeah.
This is how you write about people who are alive.
Yeah. 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 So it's those journalists writing about those guys who all love this fucking shit. And once absolute psychopaths started to believe there was some kind of scientific footing for them to be assholes, there really was no stopping this train. This is the point where the legendary alpha male had not only been documented as real, like confirmed sightings,
Science.
but we could all witness the alpha male when we looked at our congressman or our boss or the billboard dominance of the vocal harmony group Boys to Men in the late 90s.
Or finance bros freaking out about a brunch line.
Yeah, All-
Downtown redacted.
all alpha males, and we could see them in our own life. The cryptid was real.
That Scully is why we have to kill the cryptid.
Oh, people were like so into this that journalists wrote articles during the 2000 election about whether Al Gore was too much of a beta to be president.
Oh,
The answer is apparently yes, but it's a shitty article to write.
oh that's sad.
Yeah, they're insane to read. Apparently, someone Al Gore hired was like, Al Gore is just a fucking beta, and he brought me on to make him less of a beta, which
Oh
is
my god.
mind-boggling. Oh, in case you're wondering if anything's ever changed. Yeah,
It's just that's a worse variant of like that. Well, I'd vote for that guy because I could see myself having a beer with him.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what the 2000 election was.
Yeah, it
Alpha
was.
beer drinker George Bush versus beta seltzer drinker Al Gore.
White wines
Yeah, exactly.
and not the Oakley Dokley song.
No.
It's a metalcore group, Rachel, that is
Okay.
themed around Ned Flanders quotes. and they all dress like Ned Flanders.
Oh my god. Wow.
Incredible.
That's good to know that
Metal
that
is
exists.
very serious music for very serious people.
Yes. So the problem now was that even though the alpha male like concretely existed, you could see him in the wild. He still couldn't like make the jump into like widespread acceptance of his reality, because what we really needed for it to break into the mainstream was for you to be able to have a personal relationship with the alpha male. You need to
Yeah.
like know,
Yeah.
he needs to be in your heart.
He needs to be in your living room criticizing every choice that you make.
Yeah. And that's how you know a cryptid is real.
Yeah.
And there was only one man who could help the alpha male make the jump from a creature slithering silently through the halls of power to in our own living room. And that man was, big scare quotes, journalist Neil Strauss. Do either of you know Neil Strauss?
Yeah, real
Mhm.
shithead.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
want to tell us a little about Neil Strauss?
No.
Okay.
You can.
You might not know Neil Strauss, Rachel, but you probably have heard of a book called The Game.
Sounds familiar. Keep going.
Even if you don't 100% know it, I can assure you it has at least ruined one night out that you've had
Yeah.
in your life. The Game is living proof that journalists are the grave diggers of democracy. You can write all the wonky shit in the world, but it is never going to sell as some nerd's book about fucking women in LA in the early 2000s. It just won't. This is a book where Neil learns how to pick up women by following the advice of an unstable pickup artist and Chris Angel impersonator named Mystery. Now it's
Yes!
sounding familiar?
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
yep, now I know.
I was just sitting here
Waiting for
gripping the
Mystery?
sides of my desk for Mystery.
Oh god, yep.
Honestly, I couldn't remember if Neil Strauss was Mystery's actual name or not, because they're
No.
so closely intertwined in my brain. But
Yeah,
Okay, so
Neil-
this guy Neil Strauss wrote this book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Neil
Wow,
Strauss was
okay.
like, I'm a dorky dude. I don't do well with women. I'm going to give up and just learn from one of these pickup artists. So he goes
he,
to,
he tried a
pickup-
hitch.
yeah, he tried to do a
Okay.
hitch,
Yeah.
but like without any of the charisma of Will Smith.
Yeah,
Also, very good reference, Aaron. I'm proud of
thank you.
I know.
I
that's
never
a
saw
problem.
it,
You
but
did-
I know that it exists.
You never saw it. Okay.
No.
I take it back.
Aaron was like, I have read the Wikipedia page of this romantic comedy. I am relatable. Yeah. So I don't think
I'm very fun at parties.
I don't think I'm overselling here when I say that Mystery is one of the most influential people of the past 25 years.
Real shithead, but you are correct.
Yeah, if you have ever been a woman at a bar or near a woman at a bar,
Watched women at a bar.
yeah, Mystery has had a large impact on your life. Some of his great ideas, the things he popularized are peacocking. Do we know peacocking?
Yeah.
Yep, you wear something ostentatious, so women are like, "Hey, nice."
Wasn't
top
his
hat."
thing like that he had,
Mm.
yeah, a top hat or something?
And platform shoes, even though he was 6'6".
Oh my god, wow.
The thought being that like women would
Bold.
come up to you and
Oh.
be like, "Hey, you're 7'2", wanna fuck?" Which I don't understand.
All I can
My
think
God.
of is just every motherfucker at a concert who has stood directly in front of me, so I'm looking at their back because they are 6'5".
That's me, listener. He's talking about me. He's trying to coo me.
I don't think we've been at a concert together, so you have not yet been able to pull this shit.
I will stand in front of you. He also popularized negging. Are we familiar with
Yeah.
negging?
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh, you know about negging? That's really
Oh,
sweet
yes.
that you know about that. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I didn't think you would be, smart enough to know about that.
That's negging, listener.
That's
Yeah.
fine, that's fine.
It's kind of a bummer that like people think gaslighting is negging.
Yeah.
Like it seems like
Mhm.
the term gaslighting has vagified to an extent that it's being replaced for negging
Negging.
now. Yeah. Where I don't know. It's a different thing. And the movie it comes from is really good.
What movie does it?
Gaslight.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
were talking about, I thought you were talking about negging.
No.
I was like,
No.
negging the movie?
no, no. You should watch Gaslight though. It's really
Yeah,
good.
that
It's
is a
with
good
what's her name? The Murder She wrote woman. She was very young. Anyway,
Yeah.
good movie.
Yeah. He also was like a big proponent of like bro culture and just like
Bro
hanging
down
out
with your
chicks with the
bros.
boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Mystery really emphasizes the need to be an alpha male.
Yeah.
He says that being an alpha male is like being in control of all social situations, and that to have sex with women you meet in the club at 2 a.m., you need to be an alpha male. My experience of being at a bar at 2 a.m. is that if you want to have sex with someone else who is there at a bar at 2 a.m., you need to be alive. But I've been wrong before. Apparently, Neil Strauss knows something I don't.
I don't remember the last time I was at a bar at 2 a.m.
Yes, me neither. But in college, you would just be at the bar at 2 a.m. and you'd look around and you'd be like, we're all here at 2 a.m.
That was not me. I did not stay out that late. I was back at friends' places watching Steven Seagal movies.
Oh my god.
Oh. And your exit line of, hi, it's 10 o'clock. Would you like to come back to my friend's place and watch Steven Seagal movies? Didn't work.
Hey, do you want to watch On Deadly Ground?
Oh.
He's got a really pictured PowerPoint presentation at the end about how we should protect wildlife. He kills a dude with a chicken bone. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to kill you with the chicken bone.
Oh. Yeah. So the game was an absurdly successful book, which is depressing as a writer, as writers on this call, that we will never write something as successful as the game.
There was an offshoot of this whole fucking thing that was like some motherfucker on Reddit who made a bunch of posts that went viral, I guess. And he wrote a couple of books that were as skeezy as this.
Yeah.
But like he got a little bit of clout because he wasn't as overtly toxic
As Mystery.
as Mystery.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the whole ecosystem that came out of this fucker.
Just shit. The pickup artist ecosystem is just the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, my favorite thing from the game is there's this guy who's like a hypnotist who says he gets women by doing hypnotism.
That's not consent.
And there's this scene where they're like a restaurant and there's a hot waitress and he tells the waitress, like, look at me. Now think of someone you want to have sex with. And like, look at me again. And then the waitress walks away and he like explains how he hypnotized her to make her think he's attractive.
Oh, it's even dumber than I thought it would be.
The funniest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Because I've worked in restaurants long enough to know that woman went to the back and was like, I have the worst fucking table in the whole world.
Is this guy just Dennis from It's Always Sunny?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And he's like in his 40s when he does this.
Dennis.
Yeah, it is unacceptable. Yeah. So
I guess the Dennis method is just a riff on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the book is like super successful and it takes the alpha from like this exclusive creature squatting in penthouse high rises into a cryptid that can turn you into one of its kind. It made the jump from Bigfoot to Body Snatcher.
Yeah.
If Body Snatchers took like a fuckload of pre-workout. Most of our society chose to do the same thing with the game. And sometime in the early 2010s, we just erased the aughts from our collective memory.
1999, 2010.
Yeah, which is what we should do.
Yeah.
We can forget about those entire 10 years, except for the game BioShock and the Michael Jordan-esque run that the Mountain Goats had in their albums from 2001 to 2000.
A lot of good
all of which
Flogging
were
Molly
perfect.
albums, a lot of good Dropkick albums.
That's fair. So like
Gojira had some good stuff. Most of their good stuff was in the 2000s.
So BioShock, folk punk, and metal music were the only
there you
things
go.
we can remember.
There you go.
We'll leave it at that. So by the time we got to 2010, it looked like the Alpha's attempt to take over the world by turning us all into one of them had failed. The power of forgetfulness and the lameness of pickup artists seemed like way too big an obstacle for even a creature of its power to overcome. But as fortune would have it, a new group of people were rising and bringing the cult of the Alpha back to its former glory. a cohort even less insightful than congressmen and corporate CEOs.
That is not possible.
Instagram
Ah, okay.
influencers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's fair.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was walking down the street earlier and there's this window open and all I could see was like just that specific kind of like plants and window hanging that were like quilted or crocheted or some shit. And I was like, I know exactly how everything looks in that apartment.
Yeah.
I hate it.
There's like a live, laugh, love poster, but
Uh-huh.
it's on like driftwood that they got handmade on Etsy.
They have that IKEA print of London where everyth's black and white except for
Oh,
one of the
fuck yeah.
buses.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, I just love to travel. It's great. I like London a lot. I haven't been there, but I will.
The vague sound of Lana Del Rey's worst
Yeah.
music comes out of the window.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got a
So-
bumper sticker on there. It's either a Kia
Or like a Fiesta.
or a Fiesta. And
Or
it
a
says
Volkswagen Bug if they're
or a-
really bougie.
yes.
One of
Oh,
the very
yeah.
new ones though.
yeah. And the bumper sticker says the mountains are calling and I must go.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Next to coexist.
Next to a code. And then like the blue equal sign.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
don't
Maybe a
know what-
reading a sexy one.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, what
Yeah.
the blue equal sign? I think that's just
Yeah,
like
I
a
missed
marriage
that.
equality thing, right? I think that's what that is. You
It's
still
just the
see
Human
it.
Rights Campaign, I think.
Is it? Okay.
I think.
All right.
What's
I don't
super
know.
funny about that is it's like I think it's a marriage equality thing, like you're saying, Rachel. Like
I
a
think
human
that's when it
rights thing.
started. Yeah. Yeah.
And every person is a member of the queer community, and every person the queer community I've asked has been like, I think it's, but like it's
Yeah,
never
it's
known
very
what the fuck is
unclear.
going
No,
on.
it is
No.
it is an Aaron Sorkin liberal thing
Yeah.
where it's like I send NPR and this group money every month, and that means I'm an activist.
Yeah. I just love all of the like gays I've ever like hung out with have been like, I think it's about us. I think it's an us thing.
Direct
Um,
action is when you send money to NPR and vote.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was never explicitly told, but yeah.
Yeah. I didn't get the memo. I wasn't updated. The email chain did not work.
Well, they're still on AOL
Yeah.
chat rooms, so you got to sign up for those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm not like a granddad who came here to rant about influencers.
That's my job.
Yeah, that's why we have Aaron on this podcast. That was literally the next line.
Yes, just calling the shots.
You're
Babe
on it
Ruth
today.
here.
You're fucking incredible. If you want to be hot in a van, or a mid-tier writer blogging your way through Europe, or a sex toy aficionado posting thirst content, fine. I don't care.
That's what I should have done.
Been a
Is
sex
the-
toy
the-
aficionado?
Nailed it. The mid-tier writer blogging through Europe.
Yeah.
Mm.
Should have done. I tried that. I started this series when I was still in grad school called The Canterbury Tales Part 2.
I'm going to make a prediction here, which is Aaron tries to be a normal blogger and writes like an increasingly weird piece.
Yep. It started off with just like it was me as the protagonist, as like, the protagonist narrator.
He can't
And
even
then-
pretend it's a blog. Me as the protagonist.
Yeah, and then it just immediately split into different facets of my personality where the other were the other major characters, and they all had to tell each other stories, and that was the narrative framing device, and that was my blog.
I don't know why it didn't get successful.
I don't know why you keep saying that my stuff isn't accessible. I think it's very accessible.
Ooh.
I mean, you're definitely coming at it from a new angle of the whole travel blogging thing. So you got that going for
That's
you.
what I thought, but whatever.
Yeah. As someone who exclusively writes mass market material, I'm criticizing you. Yeah, being an influencer is fine, but please, for the love of God, fucking stay in your lane. Don't be like Bill Maher.
But then everyone just becomes van life, Shark. It's like how
That's-
everything becomes crab. Every blogger every influencer just becomes van life.
I'm totally fine with that.
I'm not, because they clutter up all of the fucking streets in my neighborhood with their giant Mercedes vans.
Mm.
If all of the content on the internet was just how you can be a retiree and fix your marriage by traveling to Arizona in a van, or how to pick up the most possible STDs as a climber in coastal California, that's fine. That's fine content. Those people are fine.
That's charitable.
The other possibility, if that isn't everything that's on the internet, if you're an influencer who branches out, is that you become some fucking freak yelling on the internet about how your diet plan or your exercise routine or your goddamn bedtime habits turn you into an alpha, and how they can turn other people into an alpha too.
Dave Bautista in Glass Onion.
Yeah, you turn into Dave Bautista in Glass Onion, 100%.
Yeah.
God bless that man, friend of the pod, Dave Bautista, who's also been mentioned in like every episode.
Yeah.
That's the one unproblematic swole king.
Yeah. There was the profile thing. Did you read the profile of Dave Bautista?
No?
Oh God, it was the same syntax, the same language. It was like, I met Dave Bautista in a swanky bar. He looked really uncomfortable as he was trying not to stand out. But how can a man like Dave Bautista not stand out?
Yeah.
And just same
Awesome.
fucking every profile is the same.
I fucking hate that like particular style of writing.
Yep. I blame Bret Easton Ellis. I think he kicked off that style a lot.
It was a Thursday afternoon in central Manhattan when I met Elizabeth Holmes at a coffee shop that was unassuming but upscale.
Yeah.
I
I mean, it's just so fucked up because like Bret Easton, I'm gonna get on a soapbox about Bret Easton Ellis now. Like his main thing, the only reason people know about this guy is American Psycho, which
It's
is
fine.
a satire of Bret Easton Ellis without him realizing that it's a satire about him, that he wrote a satire about it.
Yeah.
Such a weird, infuriating troll of a man.
When I was in college, one of my best friends was a huge fan of American Psycho and like didn't get the satire, and now he's a lawyer in Colorado Springs.
No.
Like you are the Psycho from the America movie.
Yeah. From the America movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's like two high priests of alpha male influencers, two like popes that represent the two kinds of influencer you can be in this case. One is the estimable Dr. Professor Jordan B. Peterson.
Yeah. Up yours, woke moralists.
Yes. He is the reasonable sounding, academic seeming alpha male grifter.
Up yours, woke moralists.
Like
anytime you say reasonable,
you gotta say that.
Up yours. Woke moral.
It's so good. Oh. He like wraps his beliefs about alpha males in like pseudoscience and Jungian spirituality and
the
other
lobster is a creature of
yeah, exactly. Like other things that like people who don't know a lot are like, fine, these sound smart, I'm not gonna think about it.
Yeah.
The best example of this is that he talks about how lobsters get serotonin from fighting each other, like you were saying. God,
did I write this episode?
I know you're on it. And that like lobsters get serotonin, so humans should engage in dominance battles like lobsters. Like it sort of tracks if you're not like thinking about it and you ignore the fact.
If you don't put any thought at all into
but
it.
like Rachel, like as Shark was saying that, you were just shaking your head and like just like, no, this is wrong.
Because
Rachel,
Rachel,
I know about Jordan B. Peterson. I have seen his stuff on Twitter. I've watched one of his videos, but I don't remember like any specific lobster references. But that's all I need. I'm like, I understand this man's whole ethos.
Yeah, exactly. You need to watch him for like 10 minutes max.
Yeah.
Rachel correctly identified as I was talking that lobsters and human beings have almost nothing in common.
Well, if you do this,
then you are just like a lobster. Yeah, if you make the little
you're like a lobster. Also, when I was in high school, I had confused Sebastian for a lobster because I had not seen Little Mermaid in a long. And I stood up in front of a class and I said, if Sebastian is a crab, may God strike me down.
And it was the next day the clinical depression set in. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, if you never stop to think about anything, lobster fights and getting that blonde at the bar to sleep with you could be related, I guess.
If you just don't think.
You just fucking go for it.
No thoughts, head empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a suit, he seems sciencey, he uses big words, whatever.
That means he's smart.
Yeah, that means he's smart.
If you wear a suit,
he's
that
Canadian.
means smart.
And he's Canadian, yeah.
Yeah.
Better than American.
And he sounds like Kermit the Frog, and Kermit is smart.
That's true. All facts.
Yeah.
Well, he's like the best example of this like respectable alpha male grift. It's the same for like any of the intellectual dark webbers, like Ben Shapiro, Sam Harris, any of those fuckboys.
Crowder.
Crowder, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna sit here, drink my whiskey that I obviously hate, smoke a cigar that I hate even more, and have a gun strapped to me.
I am Steven Crowder, and I only refuse to enslave my wife because it's illegal in the state of Texas.
Which means Texas is not right wing.
The crazy, like a Mike
Yeah.
Tyson level insane interview from Steven Crowder. Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, that might be a fun like pick me up is just go back and watch some of like Mike Tyson's pre-fight things.
Single greatest interview humanly possible.
Yeah.
He once yells at someone that he will eat their fucking kids. And it's just like the other boxer just doesn't know how to respond. Like, the fuck do you even say?
You don't. You don't
Well,
say.
Eat your fucking kids. Like,
Yeah.
what? Incredible, man.
That was not an Ip Man 3,
No.
surprisingly.
Should have been, though.
Should have been. Should have.
Yeah, so like these suit types are like the gateway body snatchers. They lure you into the van.
Ben
the
Shapiro
problem-
driving the van.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson snatching people off the street.
Yeah, he's like, look, I sound smart. Get in my van. And then people are like, yes. And the problem with these people, though, is that once you're in the van, they're like fundamentally boring people that don't have
They
a lot
don't
to
like
offer.
anything.
Yeah.
They just want money.
Yeah. We'll get into like why the boring details of why they're wrong later in the episode. But the people you want to talk about, the people that keep you in the fan, the true cultists of the alpha are not the reason. The true cultists are the unhinged Bacchic worshippers of being an alpha man.
Every Redditor that you have ever read a comment from and thought, what the fuck?
Yeah, like what the fuck is going on?
I read a comment on a it's the subreddit called Dads Who Did Not Want Pets. And it is a great subreddit. And there was a post about a guy who was holding a dog like it was a baby, and the dog was asleep on his shoulder. And the post was like, oh, he didn't even want this dog. And this fucking maniac is like, you have a true alpha male there. I bet he was a Russian gangster. I can tell. And the poster is like, it's my husband and he's from Northern California. And the guy responds, or the person, whoever responds with, he's keeping secrets from you. I've seen those tattoos. Those are prison tattoos.
Jesus Christ.
He is visibly Eurasian.
Specifically Eurasian. Everyone on Reddit is just like one bad day away from being a character in Disco Elysium. Jesus fucking Christ, he's visibly Eurasian.
It was insane. This, I guarantee, really into alpha male shit.
So there is someone who epitomized this kind of unhinged weirdo, and I have put his Instagram in the chat.
All right, Barry.
It is
Yeah, I know. I was looking at Barry. He's just like,
not an alpha, Barry.
No, absolutely not. He's a true Sigma male.
No, not on this podcast, Aaron. We cannot get into it. We don't have enough time. It is
Yeah, we
a
do.
finite resource. We are being pulled towards the underworld, and I will not discuss Sigma males. So Rachel has a look of horror that I can only assume is because I have put the Liver King's
Yeah.
Instagram in the chat. Rachel, could you
Oh.
describe to me some of the things you were seeing?
In every single, okay, not every single post, but almost all of his posts are him shirtless. I mean, he has huge muscles. It's fine, but
Like,
one of them
obviously
is
steroid
eating
muscles.
raw meat, like just
Yeah.
his fucking
I forgot
bio
what
thing
he
is
looks like.
CEO
That is
of the ancestral
disgusting.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like,
This man is
I
disgusting.
have heard about him, but I've never seen him before, and I'm a little bit sad that you just showed me him.
Of the ancestral lifestyle.
Like,
What? Now I know behind the Bastards just did a series about this guy a while ago.
yeah.
But I want to spend just a moment or two about the ancestral lifestyle thing. People had like two sources of food most of the time, and that was heavily dependent on weather.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's this one post that it looks like, I think it's a video, but I can't play it right now. But it looks like he's standing on a jet ski and like steering with one hand and has like a hatchet in his other hand.
Yeah, no, that was a big part of
Big
ancestral
part
culture.
of it.
Yeah.
If you look
Yes.
in the
Makes sense.
Torah in Leviticus 73:22, that's like the section that goes into how you should ride jet skis on the Sabbath and what that means about how to hatchet a dolphin to death so you could bring it back.
He is awesome. He is an unhinged weirdo who takes like a ton of steroids and then takes videos of himself eating raw liver to be like, I don't take tons of steroids. I'm an alpha, and alphas eat only meat.
Does he yell in every single video?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I know more than one person who went down that hole and started a raw meat diet.
Yes.
Ew.
Yeah.
May I link you to a second Instagram page for your viewing
Yes,
pleasure?
please.
This
Oh, is this
I
the one
didn't
you were talking
include
about?
in the episode?
God.
But I saw it when I clicked back through to the Liver King, and it's fucking incredible.
What?
If you could read the caption, someone, please, that'd be great. Aaron?
All right. So the bio, Carnivore Aurelius, copyright.
Yeah, copyright Carnivore Aurelius.
Yeah. Not medical advice. Throw your multivitamin in the trash and eat the most magical food in the world, beef liver. And then try my crisps below.
They are beef liver chips, in case you were wondering. Most of this
So
page, which has 666,000 followers, is
Nice.
an advertisement for
Oh,
his
this is-
liver chips.
this is great. One
And-
cow produces over 550 pounds of beef, 30 pounds of organs, and 100 pounds of fat. That is over 1 million extremely nutritious calories. Assuming an American eats 2,000 calories a day, just one cow can feed one person for 500 days. Please tell me again how this is unsustainable. Refrigeration.
yeah.
You can't just let the meat hang out. You
Wrong,
gotta-
Aaron. You ferment it.
and fuck you. But I also like that a lot of these posts are like just his tweets superimposed on weird, like there's
Like
apparently
white families.
yeah, the family from one of the families from the movie Midsummer.
No.
It's not.
Oh
it's
yeah,
not
they
that,
do.
but
Look,
yeah,
they do look like a family, like they'd be in Midsummer. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's great. These people are
But
great.
there's one that I don't understand. It's right in the middle. How to tan without sunscreen.
Well, you see, she's hot.
Yeah.
It's the butt. Yeah.
Stop fucking thinking, Rachel. That's alphas don't think, Rachel.
They just-
I know.
Alphas act.
You see hot girl, you click hot girl, you learn how to tan without sunscreen.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Yeah. These people are just like the most insane weirdos that humankind has to offer.
Here you go. Ladies, delete your dating apps. They are full of soy boy simps.
Yeah, there it is.
Go to the grocery store and look confused in the meat section instead.
Oh my god.
Full of meat-eating men dying to help you decide between ribeye and New York strip. I'm just imagining like the meat section in my neighborhood Safeway that is routinely filled with people suffering from multiple mental breakdowns at the same time.
And I just don't believe that every single man in the meat section of the grocery store knows how to cook
No.
the different cuts of meat or even like the best
Fuck
way.
no.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
Like I don't
Like
I wouldn't trust
vaguely
anybody.
know what I like over others, but mostly it's just like, do I want to deal with the bone?
Yeah. Or like, is this one good for a roast, or is this one good for
Yeah.
like a steak?
And
or
the answer
whatever?
is, if it's big, sure, put it in a roast. I don't know.
The only person you can trust to give you advice in the meat aisle is a
It's
short
Laser Wolf
is
from
a
Fiddler on the Roof.
yes. Is a short
grandma.
woman in a Carhartt jacket. The side of her heads are shaved and she's got a nose ring. Everyone else has
Yeah.
no fucking idea what they're talking about grilling.
Except for
No,
Laser Wolf from Fiddler on the Roof.
That's fair.
Okay. Also, I mean grandmas.
Yes, grandmas, that's fair.
Okay.
no idea what
Rachel's
you're talking
skipping
about
over. You haven't. Yeah, one day you'll watch Fiddler
I
on
mean,
the
I've,
Roof.
I have
One
seen
day.
it.
He's the butcher. The
Oh,
butcher,
okay.
Laser Wolf. Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Friend of the pod, Fiddler on the Roof, which we have to mention every episode. It's in our contract.
Oh, here's another good one. Everyone is waking up to what a massive scam birth control is, and it is beautiful to see.
He is an insane. All of these people are insane people.
It
And
asked me to log in, and
good call.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So
What does that have to do with Marcus Aurelius?
literally nothing. They just love marble statues.
Okay.
Smooth.
So like this is Rachel contemplating how she's gonna go stand in the meat section of her grocery store and look confused.
Rachel is
Oh,
broken.
God.
there was a specific look on your face. It's like, oh, I've crossed the threshold and I am now insane.
Oh yeah. They are not fun. So this is like where we're at today. The alpha is alive and well, marauding through a culture where most men eat nothing but beef liver. The science is in, the alpha is real, and he is good to us, and we can become him.
I don't like that you positioned Fox Mulder as being someone who would believe in this earlier, even if it was for an intro joke. I don't like that.
It's
I
a
wanna make
framing
that-
device.
I don't care. I don't like it, and I want that to be on the record.
Have you seen Californication? David Duchovny would be into this.
But he also played a trans one in Twin Peaks.
I always forget.
Yeah. So could it?
Could it be that he's an actor pretending
Yes,
to have
that's.
opinions?
I was gonna go down that route, and I was like, I don't. No one. I just envisioned the fucking tweet that text I'm gonna get from one of my friends who listens to this episode and comments on every dumb thing I say, and he texts me. I'm like, I
the
don't.
Lord's work. As anyone who's never recorded themselves talk for 2 hours isn't aware, if you listen to yourself talk for 2 straight hours, you're a fucking idiot for some percentage of that time.
He and I had a podcast together a while ago, but he refused to deviate from the outline.
Oh no.
Like he would not go off the script. He was the ultimate straight man.
That's awesome. He was the Egon to your Bill Murray.
Absolutely.
Oh, all right. So this is hard news to break, but the problem with alphas as a concept is that they aren't real. I'm sorry to tell you, Fox. Scully's right on this one.
Although if we're going with this whole X-Files thing, you have to remember that in nearly every episode, Scully was proven wrong.
And that's where we get to my caveat section.
All right. Did I write this script?
First, we have to begin with the tragic story of wolf girl L. David Mead. So he's the field biologist who studied the wolves in captivity and captivity-like conditions. He discovered that these wolves were competing for limited resources and engaged in brutal fights for dominance that resulted in rigid hierarchy. Objectively true. Objectively good science. He then went on to discover that wolves in the wild act very differently. They lived in family units where alphas were simply a parent that looks out for its children. While there is a dominance hierarchy, if you turn dominance hierarchy into such a vague term that it's meaningless, it was mostly just a caring, like parent-child relationship. And Meach would go on to say later in his career that using the term alpha didn't add anything to the wolf relationship and should be like stricken from any discussion of wolves.
Again, wolves are cool.
Yeah, wolves are cool.
Yeah.
Meech.
Now, what do we know about the hierarchical standings of coyotes? Because as a city boy, I don't run into wolves, but I see coyotes fairly frequently.
I don't know
Yeah,
much
that's
about
true.
coyotes, but everything I've seen from them makes me think that they're all Kropotkin reading egalitarian anarchists.
Hell yes, coyotes.
They
That's why Barry always wants to go say hi when we see a coyote in the morning.
they look
Mhm.
dirty. They seem like they're having fun. They eat out of dumpsters. All the people
Yeah, just
I know like that.
Unbridled chaos.
Yeah. I've loved everyone I know who leads that lifestyle. Listener, go pet a coyote. Yeah. So Meech is a scientist trying his best. He like even contacts the original publisher of his book, and he's like, "Please stop selling this book."
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah, and they're
He
like,
tried.
"No, fuck you. We own this book."
This book is selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
Jack Welch read it.
Yeah, exactly. So Meech goes on a fucking crusade to prove himself wrong and spends the rest of his life just like bashing his first book and being like, I was wrong. Anyone who believes it is wrong. Don't read the book. It fucking sucks.
That
It's
may
not a
be the
thing.
most like pure science thing.
Yeah.
Like
It's
you're not gonna,
beautiful.
you're not gonna hear Neil deGrasse Tyson do this.
No.
Mm.
No, absolutely not.
No.
But fucking L. David Meech deserves our respect as a man who has spent his career shitting on himself.
Oh, sure. When L. David Meech does it, it's respectable. When I do it, it's sad. And Aaron, you need therapy.
Wow.
Make a choice.
Maybe if you write a bestseller about wolves. Ooh, my favorite thing in the world is shitting on how inaccessible your short fiction is. When I am in the process of finishing a short fiction piece about a girl who finds the source of rain. Not the rain where she lives. Rain is a concept.
Rain in general. Yeah.
There is no dialogue, and it is unreadable.
Good. Yeah, that's I'm glad to see that we write the same kind of things.
Yeah.
There was one story I wrote and I was really pissed because I couldn't take away the 5 lines of dialogue I had in it. And it was like real Cormac McCarthy dialogue where it was like 5 words in a sentence and it was like not real full sentences, just kind of like stuff.
Dialogue is an accessible medium, and
But
therefore
that one
bad.
got published, motherfucker. That one got published.
Damn.
So eat shit.
Aaron declines to mention that it was published in Weird Inaccessible Fiction Quarterly.
God, I wish that magazine existed.
Yeah, we'd both be in fucking business, baby.
Hell yeah.
Making $18 a story.
Shark, let's start a magazine.
Oh, yeah. So Meech is like a nutshell version of the archetypal story of the alpha cryptid. Science, especially science about biological creatures, is complicated. It is hard to create a meaningful method for doing observations, much less draw definitive conclusions from those observations. However, the problem with things like this, things that are complicated, is that it does not sell. Complexity does not sell.
Mm-hmm.
The first bit where you're like, wolf daddy, ? That's the thing that sells. If you want to learn how to live your life like a wolf because you like nature or are a furry, the idea that wolves have a variety of nuanced social interactions is way harder to build your life around than the concept of big strong daddy.
You're missing a third,
Third,
and that is Metallica.
that's fair.
Of Wolf and Man is not a nuanced song.
No, they like big strong daddy. The same is true in all the primate research. Chimps are often held up as some of the most brutal creatures in the animal kingdom. And face-ripping monsters, right? And to some extent, that is definitely true. One example of chimp brutality made famous by Jane Goodall is the Gombe Chimp War. where one tribe of chimps committed an actual act of genocide on another tribe of chimps that were once a part of their own tribe. It's fucking brutal. They
You
kill
don't
them
leave
all.
the commune.
Yeah, yeah. Up against the wall, comrade. However, primatologist M.W. Forrester spent time in the same park where the Gombe chimp massacre happened and observed that social grooming behavior was the most viable path to becoming an alpha, quote unquote. Kindness and being altruistic was an incredibly effective strategy for chimps to become dominant, also scare quotes, which isn't exactly the way we picture an alpha in our culture at all.
No, you don't see dudes who call themselves alpha going out and feeding the homeless.
Yeah.
You see them going out and trying to burn down the tents of the homeless.
Yeah. But both is a viable strategy to become an alpha chimpanzee. And the problem with that is that social dynamics be complicated and there are no clear lessons.
They do be complicated.
The same is obviously true in humans.
This is why I don't go to bars. It's too complicated.
Too complicated.
Too complicated.
Humans are hardwired to listen to or want to be around. Whether humans are hardwired to listen to or want to be around hyper-dominant people is a testable hypothesis that people have tested. One great study done at Santa Clara University was a derivation of a previous study that concluded that people like dominant behavior and are sexually attracted to it. I think this study is great because it shows how it's complicated. Like, it's hard to draw conclusions from. To summarize, subjects were given 3 paragraphs, and each of the paragraphs started like this. Quote, John is 5'10 tall, 165 pounds. He's been playing tennis for 1 year and is currently enrolled in an intermediate tennis class. Despite his limited amount of training, he's a very coordinated tennis player who has won 60% of his matches. End quote. The control group of the study only read these lines. So they only find out that John is 5'10, 165, and decent at tennis. Then there was another group where they were read a paragraph after this one about how dominant John is as a tennis player. How he like psychologically controls the game to get to that 60% win rate.
He shoots his opponent's wife and kids.
Yeah. I'll eat your fucking kids. And then there was a third group where they read about how John is like submissive and people can get in his head, but he's an incredibly skilled tennis player, so he wins 60% of the games despite that fact. Dominant John was seen as a little more attractive than submissive John, but the John in the control group was seen as more attractive than either of the Johns.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting, right?
Blank slate John is best. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is because when they started like analyzing the individual adjectives that people found attractive in the passages, traits like confident were what the women in the study rated as the attractive adjective with dominant John, whereas a trait like assertive was rated really lowly, whereas like sensitive was seen as an equally attractive trait in submissive John as confident was in dominant John. So it was so like people have a wide variety of adjectives they find attractive and not attractive. My point here is that being a leader in a social group, as anyone who doesn't like social groups know, is super fucking complicated and unclear. Confidence is attractive, but like, does being a super confident dungeon master because of your improv training make you an alpha male that people want to fuck?
No, because you went to improv training.
Yeah.
Hey.
Good improv, Aaron.
Fuck.
Yeah, it hasn't in my experience. That is correct.
If anything, they could take your campaign.
Yeah. What the study concludes is that there are some traditionally dominant traits that people find attractive, but they're amplified when they are coupled with pro-social, traditionally submissive traits that make someone likable. In the immortal words of Bo Burnham, quote, "You want a guy that's sweet, a guy that's stuff, a feminist who likes to pay for stuff, the kind of guy who gets along with your friends without being attracted to any of them. End quote. And that makes sense. It isn't a bug. It's not like some bad part of psychology. It's a feature. Attraction and social cohesion are influenced by a ton of factors, and they should be. We want people who fit in well in a variety of contexts as a partner. Someone who has the confidence to help us with our problems, even though they have incomplete data. Someone who has the necessary humbleness to admit when they're wrong, but still speaks their mind. To reiterate and quote the great philosopher Levine, it is complicated.
What is
Aaron missed the reference.
what is this? Avril Lavigne?
Avril Lavigne.
Okay, I thought that was an Avril Lavigne thing. See, I got that. You said I
Yeah, I
didn't.
missed that
You
reference
said I missed
initially.
it, but I didn't. I got
was-
it. I'm a smart man.
It was my birthday this past weekend, and I was having
Yeah,
dinner
happy
with
birthday.
my
Birthday.
hey, thanks. And I was having dinner with my family. We went out to sushi, and there was a smooth jazz cover of Avril Lavigne's "It's Complicated" playing through the entire meal, and I lost my
Lovely.
fucking mind. I was slowly going insane.
Was it like was it a band or was it like a speaker?
It was like a speaker, and I resisted all dinner. Yeah, I resisted all dinner from being like, "Is anyone else hearing what's going on right now?"
But it's so fitting that's it's in a sushi restaurant or like a place that serves like
in
perfect-
Santa Fe
perfect.
too. Like that's perfect.
Absolutely.
Wait, now hold on. When I was down there and I pitched going to that wonderful like crab boil restaurant, totally serious. You said, "Oh, no seafood this far inland," and yet
Aaron pitched going to a crab boil restaurant in a strip mall in the desert.
Yeah. Not usually good results from that.
I will eat seafood in the desert, but only if the building is not connected to another building. They need to have that kind of money.
It had four walls. It had a ceiling.
It was connected to a pizza place.
Yeah, they just get the pepperoni.
Yeah.
That's an important thing of a crab boil. You need the spice.
I will not humor you. Yeah. So, in short, the alpha cryptid is a mirage created by incomplete access to data. And humans' desire to come up with clear rules to help us navigate like complicated moments. It's way easier to say to yourself, if I have big muscles, that girl will like me. Or if I tell people what to do, they'll respect me. Than to be left like rudderless to navigate the complicated seas of being a human being. We want a guiding star and we want it to work every single time. There like isn't fundamentally shame in this. We all do it.
That's why the tax way that it is.
Yeah, exactly. I, for instance, find cynicism to be an incredibly attractive quality in people. That is why Aaron and I hang out. And so have built my whole personality around being a critical little cunt.
That's where you get the best jokes, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people do like that. And every time someone likes it, I get that little hit of serotonin. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
I'm doing is right. I should be less accessible and more difficult to deal with.
It works. I have too many friends. A friend of mine said you need to be more obnoxious about your politics, and I said I try.
But unfortunately for Aaron and I, we occasionally recognize this isn't the only way to live. And so combat this natural tendency towards being curmudgeonly. Your mileage may vary.
Sometimes you need to make compromise.
Yeah. And that's what's so...
I can't. Oftentimes at work, I tell people don't put people in the position where they can disappoint you, because they will every time. I can't say that every meeting, though. I can only say that a few meetings every week. Or
Quota
I can
every
only
week.
remind people to set your expectations of workloads as low as you possibly can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's scary about the alpha male shit or any other theory of social interaction is that they are, like, by their nature, theories of everything.
Yeah, and anytime you run across like someone who starts talking about their theory of social interaction, just get the fuck out of that room.
Yeah, run as
Like, that's
fast
bad.
as you can.
Nothing good's coming out of that. Like, that's you're either talking to a 15-year-old
Yeah.
or someone with the brain of a 15-year-old. And either way, it's not going to be good.
Because they are taking an incredibly complicated topic and flattening it
Yeah.
into, I can hypnotize my waitress. Like it's
Exactly.
always that. Like
There was, yeah, nah, I'm not going into that. That was more like arcaic Reddit history that we don't need to talk about.
and everything from like archaic Reddit people to behavioral economists at the University of Chicago.
Yeah.
Anyone who's like, here's a thing that explains how all people do all things.
Yeah.
And just shut the fuck up forever.
Yeah, it's Rachel. Do you have thoughts?
I have so many thoughts, but
hit us with your thoughts, please.
I don't know. It's like, I mean, the people who gravitate and like hold on to these like alpha male ideas of like how to act, how to pick up girls, like whatever. It's like, why don't we teach people to like be a little bit more like introspective or like nice? Just be nice. Like that's a huge thing of like, if you're trying to pick up someone at a bar and you're just nice to them, or you ask them questions about them instead of coming up and talking about yourself, like what a concept. Like that's a great,
that's nerd shit.
Yeah,
Nerd
Rachel,
shit.
if you'd read the game, you'd know that you take a piece of lint out of your pocket and put it on a girl's jacket and then pick it off.
Oh my
and
God,
make fun of her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you pick up.
That's how you show that you are the best mate in the room.
But it's also like, if you're trying to be like in control, like one way, like you don't have to show that you're in control. Like if it
yes yeah it's just like brutally insecure people trying to like find a way to appear not. That is 100%
like
right.
The easy button. But it's like,
Yeah.
if you just spent a little bit of time on yourself or like thought about things a little bit more.
No, it's
I mean,
no.
All girls are the same, and if I push the same buttons,
Shark, you're
like
using it's females, okay?
Oh,
all
yeah,
females are the same.
Yeah, that's correct.
The females just think this way, but males think this way. That's
way.
why the male option, I hate that. I can't get over that.
No, Aaron, it's
like,
men and females.
Men and
you got
females,
it.
yes.
No, because I remember a lot of, I don't know, maybe it's changed, but when never mind, it doesn't fucking matter. It's all stupid as shit.
My wife's favorite genre of internet thing is like compilations of posts from men who like clearly don't understand that women exist.
It's just Ferengi.
Yeah,
It's the fucking Ferengi. Like, you let your females have clothing. Like, it's just.
And there's one that lives rent-free in our brain at this house, which is one guy posted that men and women have different razors because women's skin is thinner, and using a man's razor would like tomahawk skin her.
What?
And I can't stop thinking about it, that he's just like out right now voting and putting doorknobs in his mouth. Like, like fucking out there right now.
Oh my God.
And he's so into this alpha male shit, I guarantee it. Oh, yes. Oh.
Females. I mean, now, Rachel, as female on call, you would be tomahawked, correct?
Yeah, if you used a male's razor.
Yeah, if you used a Gillette Mach 17.
Since I was probably 15, I've only used men's razors. And I'm still here. My skin's intact.
Kick off call. Siri, how do I block from Zoom?
For those at home, listener, Rachel does have skin. I can see it in the call.
Yes.
Despite using a men's razor.
Here.
Skin is still attached. Yeah. So this now thing about like compressing complex things into incredibly simple sound bites that reinforce your own worldview brings us to the sad part of the episode. The rest was lovely.
I thought this was supposed to be a palate cleanser.
No. This is much like when I tried to write about first-person shooters and instead wrote about Buchenwald.
Oh.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't think any of us are cut out to write palate cleanser episodes.
I don't think so.
No.
So far, we've had Rachel trying to write about drag and instead about trans people being genocided, and me trying to write about first-person shooters and instead writing about Nazis.
My only conception of what a palate cleanser episode could be is pretending to be George Lucas. And
Unproblematic king with no darkness inside him. George
no
Lucas.
darkness. No.
Honestly, I think we hit it with the conspiracy theories, and then it's just like one and done palate cleanser. That's all we get.
Yeah, that's fair. That's the only
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Oh,
All
yeah. So
right.
Tell us sad things.
Yeah.
So people who flatten the gender dynamic into one very easy to understand interaction where men are always one way and women are always another, and those are the only two genders.
You're not gonna go about with the manifestos, are you?
Oh, Aaron predicts it again. What do you know about incels, friend? Incels? Are you friends with any incels? Do you guys like incels?
No, thank God. That is like the one group that I do not count in any friend circle. And furries. I don't think I know.
You were at the redacted protest. You know lots of furries.
All right, that's a good point.
And they are the best of us.
That's a good point.
Incels, Rachel?
Nope.
Nice. Good for you.
Or no.
Yeah.
Out of
Yeah.
whiskey.
Wrong time.
Yeah.
The incel movement, for those of you who don't know, is a largely male social movement that centers around the idea that
Largely male. There are.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So,
is there
the term incel actually started out in a blog written by a woman about the difficulties of being a less attractive woman and like how that interacts with other identities.
Huh.
It started out as like a left-wing term that got co-opted by the right. Play the title of the podcast.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
she like had good points. So it's a largely male movement.
Huh.
That centers around the idea that some men are not viable mates for women because of their innate physical and physiological characteristics.
It's just a
they think
horrible
about
phrase.
it about themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
it's almost always about themselves.
It's like because they haven't had a girlfriend by age 12, they think that they are just never going to find.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the whole like thought of the movement centers around like taking pictures of conventionally attractive men.
That's right. And
putting their
doing some
picture
light
next to it.
phrenology.
Yeah. And being like, look at Chris Hemsworth's brow ridge. It's so much better than mine. It's an eighth of an inch in some direction.
Just-
The jawline,
Yeah.
exquisite.
Yeah.
All about the jawline and brow ridge. And
Yep.
Nose width.
It centers around the idea that like when a woman who's attracted to men comes to a bar and sees a man, she like immediately takes out like a slide rule and a compass and like in her head does some math.
That's
Like-
just, I have to say before you keep going, it's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So
Yes. That is a
Please
great
continue.
disclaimer. It's the dumbest fucking thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is
I'm gonna go get more whiskey. I'll be right back. You guys keep.
okay,
going.
wait, I want wine.
Okay. Well, we're taking a break. then.
alcohol breaks. And we're back.
All right. Hold on.
You want to see Winnie?
Yeah.
There she is.
Oh, Winnie.
No.
Yeah.
Good doggo.
So cute. So, incels. Yay!
Our favorite. I want you to know that I wound up not going with whiskey and Slivovitz.
Absolutely.
nice.
not. So,
Slum
the-
brandy.
and a lot of the incels ideas like center around the concept.
Light phrenology.
Yes. And this light phrenology is to explain that there are alphas, which they refer to as chavs, and betas.
God damn it! Ah! It's like this stupid. If there's one, the fucking like rage comic bullshit language that came out of the fucking aughts, that's just so slack-jawed, stupid as shit that has led to that stupid motherfucking Chad comic that's on every goddamn subreddit. You can't stop it because it's there. It's gonna be like fucking, oh, I'm just gonna go to, I don't know, r/weather. Oh shit. Chad thunderstorm versus the beta tornado or some crap. God damn it.
That's the proper reaction, yes. Yeah. So there are Chads, also known as alphas, and betas, and Chads get girls because of light phrenology.
Wait, do the betas get a name?
I am a hack and a fraud, so I did not
don't
look it up.
I
know
black
that
out every time I see one of these.
I
There's
know
like
that-
Becky's. Is that like
no,
the
female Chads are Stacy's.
Stacy? That's what it
Oh,
is.
yeah, that's funny. Okay.
There's a whole fucking thing.
Which why? Like, because the only cultural touchstone that I can think is Stacy's mom, but that's not about Stacy. That's about her mom who's got it going on.
Well, Aaron, one can logically assume that if Stacy's mom had it going on, that eventually Stacy would also have it going on. If you believe in phrenology.
Yeah.
I mean, not knowing anything about people being called Stacy because I just learned about it 2 seconds ago, I would just assume that it's like from like, I don't
Thank
know,
you,
the cheerleader tropes in high school movies. You know what I mean? Like
that's
Yeah.
probably it.
I think
popular
that-
pretty girl.
I think that's what it is
Barry has
to
character.
comfort you.
Harold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Good
alphas and betas, and alphas sleep with alphas and betas don't sleep with anybody. If you Google this for like one more second, you'll find like a whole fucking
Excuse me, I take
hierarchy.
issue with this classification. For an Aldous Huxley's novel, Brave New World, it is not the betas who are at the lowest rungs of society, it is the deltas.
Yeah, and there's a fucking sci-fi author called Vox Day who wrote a piece that's just like the taxonomy of where you fit into what he refers to as the sociosexual hierarchy. And I almost got into it, but we won't. We won't on my podcast, damn it. I will not talk about Sigma males. I refuse.
God, I know.
Hold the
Huxley's
line, Shark. Hold the line.
long dead, but my God, I wonder if that man could see what was happening today and be like, I made a
He would
horrible
shit
mistake.
himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like these people are the dark side of the simplification of human interaction. They're not fun dudes on the internet who eat raw liver that we can all laugh at.
No.
They are people who take the same logic that like men are men and women are women, and they have innate biology that makes them do things that they can't control, and then they somehow take an incredibly shitty concept and make it worse. This is where I would unfortunately like to discuss the story of Elliot Rodger.
Yeah.
Do either of you know who Elliot Rodger is?
The name rings a bell, but I don't know at the moment.
He's
But
like
I'm
the
sure once
fucking
you tell me-
hero of these shitheads.
He is.
Recorded or wrote a manifesto before a mass killing.
He's he's a story especially close to me because I have a lot of friends who lived in Santa Barbara at the time it happened.
Yeah.
Roger was a really fucked up kid who thought that women would not sleep with him because of phrenology. He wasn't an alpha in his own mind and unfuckable because of that. This like belief about simplifying human social interaction grew into a hopelessness, and that hopelessness grew into a hatred of women. This hatred.
It's just sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead.
It's like it's really sad because it's like no matter how weird you are or like how niche your interests are or like whatever it is, like there is also probably someone else that feels the same way.
Absolutely.
And it's like even on a different thing. Like there was when I was in
It's like you're just
grad-
boxing yourself into a little box. Okay,
yeah,
sorry,
well,
go on.
it's like also like when I was in grad school, like I there was this girl who was into me, and I was psyching myself out about it because I self-destructive mindset, and I was warping out about it. And my friend, we were at a pub, and my friend like caught on like I was having like a breakdown for some stupid reason, and he was like, you know, sex isn't that important. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about just saying something stupid, but thank you. And it's just like, I feel like every one of these guys just needs that friend in the pub to just catch on that something's wrong and be like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
like get out of your head.
Yeah.
Just talk to him like a normal human
Yeah.
being.
Yeah,
Like,
it's fine.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to look like a fucking Hemsworth
No.
or
And you
I
know
don't
what?
look
Even
like
if
a
people
Hemsworth.
have even if people have like
I look like
a
a
negative
Costanza.
interaction. Okay, Aaron, let's calm down. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, no, because it's like this. A lot of what we talked about with like the internet stuff, or like the Warhammers, my episode, and this apparently like this is very much like there but for the grace of God thing.
yeah.
Like if like Robert Evans talked about it a bit in some of his too. Like, you know, as a deeply nerdy dude, there were a lot of points where things could have gone really poorly if like I didn't have the friends that I did when I was young. And I feel like it's real easy to not have those people. And that's what's so fucking sad, disheartening, and anger inducing about this stuff is like it shouldn't be easy to fall into this trap
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
happens. And
Yeah.
For instance, if we maybe taught social skills or the
Yeah.
humanities as a society for even one fucking second.
or like, you know, encouraged community building in ways that weren't like the fucking Rotarians
Yeah.
or solely structured around churches or something. Like,
Like
Yeah,
allowed more
community-
room for mistakes and creativity and trying something new and
be a
like
human being and not
Yeah.
just a resource.
Yeah. I don't think you know how to maximize profits, guys.
I motherfucker. I got so pissed off because like Redacted was doing this ballot initiative to try and do like a capital gains tax and to fund eviction representation, and it got voted down, of course. Like,
by 85%.
yeah. And I was talking to someone who you and I used to work with, Rachel, and I'm gonna let you guess at who it was after the call, who was like, well, I don't think it's well thought out. And I said, that's a bullshit excuse because the ballot measure is never going to be.
No, they're
It's,
never
it's
well
just
thought out.
no. It's just you have to do something. And then this person said, like, all right, fine, but like, isn't it? Won't I be paying taxes on selling my house then? And I said, well, yes, but it's 0.75%.
Hmm.
Who cares? It's fine. My God, that you're going to have to pay $700. And that money is going to go to ensuring that someone has a fucking lawyer to go against a goddamn landlord.
Hmm.
And she's like, well, I don't know. You used to say you're a socialist, you fucking lib. So no, I don't know how to maximize profit.
I like
And-
that my palate cleanser episode is the one that's fully pushed Aaron into madness. Oh, mission
You
accomplished.
just can't do these things well.
No,
no, we don't.
no. Oh.
My palate cleanse episode is just going to be a series of tones.
Yeah, there's no way that could go wrong.
Oh, yeah. So
Let's talk about incels some fucking more. Sure.
when Elliot Rogers started to believe in those categories, and that belief started leaching out into his life. He was a beta who'd never get girls, so why even try? This immediately got very dark. And
Yeah.
that hatred of women grew into a plan. Rogers wanted revenge because his worldview made him think that human interaction was just this like one thing that could never change. And that's a hopeless feeling. That's a desperate
Yeah.
feeling.
That's prime doomerism.
Yeah, it's full black pill.
Yeah.
And so on May 23rd, 2014, Rogers left his house and began a killing spree in Santa Barbara that resulted in the death of 6 people. The original target was a sorority. He failed to get in. So he just killed people kind of loose on the street. And it's bad. Bold stance. Elliot Rogers, bad.
Bold stance here on this pod.
Yeah.
Taking up a crusade.
I think it's worth discussing because the simplification of super complex topics is a staple of conservative belief systems. All you have to do is look at the right's rhetoric on criminal justice or gender or sexuality or art, or even a concept as broad as fucking morality, to see that simple good-bad dichotomies are often the core of conservative ideologies. I do want to come out at this point and say I'm not a moral relativist. There are some things that are bad. Some actions are
Disgusting.
shitty regardless of context.
Who do you think you are?
To condemn anything.
Yes.
However, I think it is important to split some hairs here because I think that beliefs that are a recognition of the complicated factors that make things the way they are not simplifying the factors. Gender is an incredibly complicated and personal topic that people should interact with in whatever way they see fit. That's a good thing to believe. You can believe that and still think that turf should get a brick. Some people need a brickin'.
Some people need a brickin'.
You can
That's our motto here at the Right Can't Read.
Yeah. You can acknowledge the complexity of an issue and come out at the end with a strongly held moral conviction. But you have to acknowledge the complexity of the issue. Criminal justice, complicated, needs a variety of approaches to deal with people who harm their community. ACAB, you can hold these two things. Capitalism is bad for reasons that people write thousands of pages about. It's still bad. The issue is not like flattening the moral opinion or coming up with like a definitive stance at the end of it. It's when we flatten issues into simple binaries or trinaries or any grouping that doesn't represent the complexity of the issues at hand. That's when we create simple worldviews that are self-reinforcing and almost impervious to data. You can find countless stories of incels who are not celibate, but have like girlfriends and people who sleep with them and still believe in the biological fuck hierarchy. They simply believe that the women who fuck them are wrong. They're sleeping
That's
with...
awful.
It's intense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's intense. Like, it degrades their view of the women they're with. They like believe in the biological fuck hierarchy, and the women who sleep with them don't have the like important understanding of it, and so are lesser because they would sleep with them. It doesn't like disprove the fuck hierarchy. It like reinforces it and makes them shittier to the women in their lives.
Wait, I don't get it. I'm confused.
It's an extent. So here's my immediate connection to other things is like the bullshit men egoism, chauvinism of like, yeah, my wife's an idiot and she thinks that I'm great, but she doesn't realize how stupid I am, so I'm just taking advantage of her. That that kind of thing. That's what I'm clicking with in my brain. And then yeah,
exactly. It's the idea that like the woman who's sleeping with me is a low value woman who doesn't understand the social hierarchy because she's sleeping with a low value man. So she's only doing it because she's an idiot who doesn't get that like she should try to sleep with alphas and she's settling for beta cuck me. It doesn't like disprove the dog shit opinion. It reinforces it.
They see it as having found a loophole.
Yeah. And that loophole is coincidentally that it's more misogyny.
Yeah.
How can you can't how can you have a well,
yeah, it's a shitty
relationship is too strong of a word, but like how can you even I don't know.
Yeah.
Shitty pairing
because you clearly then don't value the person that you're with.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Like and the simplification creates a cycle that leads towards this increasing detachment from consensus reality and increases the misogyny and increases the likelihood to do violence. Because even if a woman sleeps with you, that's because you should have disdain for her because she's like innately not getting the truth. So like there is no, if a woman doesn't sleep with you, you should become bitter. If they do sleep with you, you should become more disdainful. And like the more and more these incels dehumanize women, the more and more they're like driven towards violent behavior.
Yep.
You can't like there isn't enough personal growth that they could do. There isn't enough anything that they could do because no one could rationally choose to be with them.
Yeah, it's like self-fulfilling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shit.
Except just self-fulfilling prophecies that lead to just death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is, if you're going by Greek plays, every prophecy.
And that's kind of my point. Like when you create a world system, there are no exceptions. And that's bad. Like you shouldn't create a theory of social interaction because like you can filter any social interaction through that theory. No matter what a woman does in the mind of an incel, she will, through their logic, big quotes there, be turned into a robot acting only on instinct. And her instinct might be wrong, but that's all she's doing, which, if you think that, are women truly people, is like the end point of that like logic. And you can replace women and incels here with like Ronald Reagan and criminals.
Yeah.
Or like anyone in Florida and the trans community, or like the point is that like you create these theories, these overarching theories of everything about how things interact. And the end stage of any of those beliefs is always dehumanization. Because when you have a theory of everything, people aren't like independent actors doing their own thing.
Yep. So I'm rereading Foundation, the Asimov novel, and then gonna go into and I'm going through it again. I'm like, this is a great book. I love this, and it's a fun read. And I keep thinking about one thing that we didn't talk about in the cyber libertarians stuff is like how people like Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey and all those guys also kind of ascribe to this view of having a theory that describes the world but also the future of humanity, and justifying all of their actions through this theory that says that if they acquire this wealth and do these certain things, they, like the God Emperor Leto II, can spread humanity across the universe where it can never be destroyed. Except, unlike Leto II, they are not willing to fuse themselves with sandworms and continuously clone Duncan Ida. But it's this same thing. Spoilers for God Emperor of Dune, I guess. It's the same thing of like just the worldview. You're taking the wrong lessons from every possible philosophy or fiction or whatever. It's like with Foundation, the whole premise is there's a guy who is able to make like good guesses and predictions of humanity at a broad scale based on how people react as a group in big situations. But they're missing the fact that it's fiction, and B, it's like he's doing it for the better service of humanity through the lens of like, we need to preserve art and science and all of the things that make humanity great, which are those things, and not I want to fuck. And so the lessons that these guys are taking are like, I want to get that worldview, but apply it to, I don't know, going to the club at 2 a.m. And it's just so fucking stupid, because you can't talk to people who like sci-fi without running into this shit.
Yeah. And I forget who it is, but it might have been Margaret Killjoy. There's someone who I love on the internet who said that like there's two reactions when you encounter something that doesn't fit into your worldview. One is to be like, cool, and ask questions.
Yeah.
And the other is to be like, ew, gross.
Let's go back to the start of this episode with the one good scientist who spent his entire career saying that he was wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the scientific method, is like, if you are presented with evidence that does not fit into your initial hypothesis, you investigate it, you engage in inquiry, and then you reconstruct the worldview if it needs it, instead of not doing that and then flipping the fuck out.
Yeah. And the problem with conservatism is it develops these bulletproof ideologies. Like, why is homosexuality wrong? Well, it's in the Bible. How do we know the Bible's true? Because God says it. How do we know that God's real? Because I have a personal experience. And it's like, there's no critique here. There's like no methodology by which to deal with complexity.
No. Why would you do that?
And like, I've had these conversations. Like, I did graduate work in Bible study.
Did you get into a fight? Did you get into a fight at that bar again, Shark?
Always. And it's like, And I go to these people and I'm like, well, Hebrew's a fucking complicated language. And we
Especially
don't know
ancient Hebrew.
Yeah.
We're
and
not
we
even
don't-
talking about modern
Yeah.
Hebrew.
we don't know what that passage really means. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, my pastor says. And it's like, this
Your
is the-
pastor is not a Jew from 500
Yeah.
BC.
Yeah. does not even speak Hebrew. And it's like, this is the problem with conservative ideology. You have to fight these bulletproof thoughts, these closed loops, because you need to be able to come to someone's sexuality or gender or race and have that, oh, that's interesting reaction that expands your worldview rather than trying to incorporate it in a closed loop that already exists. Because if you do that, you wind up like Elliot Rodger. It just like spirals and you get to the logical conclusion because there's nothing that bumps you off track.
Yeah.
So palate cleansed? Are we feeling cleansed, fam?
Super cleansed.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I am as cleansed as the targets in Hitman, where I poison sushi and then I get a little achievement that says you killed them creatively. That's
Cleansed.
my cleansed.
Yeah. No feelings anymore. So that's cleansed. Yeah.
I am like Christian Bale in Equilibrium before he hears Beethoven's Ninth.
Oh,
Wasn't Sean Bean in that one too? I think that was Sean Bean too. Sean
Never
Bean
seen
died.
it.
in it. It's
Yeah,
not
it
that.
was-
Great.
He dies in every movie.
Yeah, it's
one of
not. that
my
great.
favorite parts about writing episodes for this podcast is being like, okay, so I've gotten to the point in the script where I either have to talk about someone who hates the Jews or women, and this is going to be great for one of my co-hosts because there's only two kinds of guys, and they're usually the same guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's true. Just the other day, like I was thinking about, I guess this is like touching on more broadly, but like how when you're growing up, I mean, I grew up Catholic, but I guess this could go for Christianity in general. Like as a kid, you have genuine curiosity and you're asking why. And like, you know, you're like eager to like learn more and like find out why. And then you're just like shut down with because God said so, or like you just
Yep.
this is the way it is. So it's like some people, like I don't know if people carry that on in their lives outside of church. Like just you're not,
I think
No
that's a safe
questions.
thing to.
yeah.
you know, or like how like I really also don't understand how the church can how they square with like evolution and like scientific fact. I'm
Well,
going off on
obviously that's a
tangent, but,
lie.
like,
Come on,
but it's
Rachel,
like
step
you know
up.
what I mean. Like if you're trying to remain relevant in today's society, like
Have I
don't
told you
think that
about?
you have to have answers to that question? Like
Have I told? Did I tell you about the the sophomore high school biology thing that I went through? Okay,
I don't think so.
This was in Smyrna, Tennessee, a
I'm
bastion of
convinced
knowledge.
Aaron went to high school in like 1840 because of this story.
What was was it Scopes? Was
The
that
Scopes
the
monkey trial?
Yeah. Anyway, I don't.
Was that in Tennessee? Was that
That was in
Kentucky?
Tennessee.
It was
Yeah.
Kentucky.
It
was
was
Tennessee.
it Kentucky?
No, it was Tennessee.
All right, yeah, sure, fine. It's the same state. It doesn't matter.
It's the same thing.
So it was sophomore year in high school, and we get to the evolution module, and the teacher's like, "Well, I don't want to teach this, but the state says I have to, and so we're gonna have to talk about evolution." And the kid in front of me starts booing. So the
Doing
answer.
evolution.
Yes. So
Yeah,
the
okay.
answer of how do they stay relevant is they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
least
fair
Southern
enough.
Baptists don't give a shit. I don't know about other denominations.
And I mean, like,
Makes
I
sense.
don't know. Like there's a lot of weirdness with the Dalai Lama, but like there was a question about this was a long time ago about like what would if something had been proven about the nature of reality that ran contradictory to Buddhism, what would you say? And you'd be like, well, I guess we would have to rethink our understanding of reality then, wouldn't we? And it's like that's a good response to have. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can only speak from an upbringing it through Reform with all of the squiffiness that comes from Reform, but like that one, at least that brand, was pretty open to questioning and challenging thought. But I'm sure, like, if you were to talk to someone from Chabad or another like black hat Orthodox community, it would be very different. It's just anytime you get an orthodoxy in a religion, it's just that is the worldview.
And I think that's like
Regardless of
conservatism.
what Spinoza says, because remember, Spinoza is not accepted here.
And I think that's like conservatism in a nutshell. It's an orthodoxy constructor and like
Mhm.
various opinions of life.
Yeah.
Like orthodoxy bad.
Orthodoxy bad. You hear
Mhm.
that, Marxist Leninists? You guys are bad.
Absolutely. Like, Jesus Christ.
Every time I'm in a DSA meeting in Redacted and I look over and I see the multiple Marxist caucuses with their big banners that say we're a Marxist caucus.
The left-wing conservatives.
Yeah.
Jesus. What if we did leftism, but without any of the fun?
What if we did leftism, but we really wanted to worship a dude with a beard?
Yeah.
So we kept the dude with the beard.
What if we did leftism, but we still purged the Jews and the gays? Jesus.
What if we
fucking
did
Christ.
leftism and refused to change anything about the way economics works
Yeah.
and the way that society at large employs and interacts with people?
Oh God, they're horrible. Yeah. Like orthodoxy. Don't make
Don't
it.
do it. Don't do it. Not
No.
even once. Not even once.
Yeah.
Once is all it takes.
Yeah.
And
The-
like
the-
it just reminds me of like I had this professor in college who I was doing the Bible with. We were like reading cover to cover, whole fucking thing. And we
Oh
were
my
like
God.
in a class.
Impressive.
Yeah. We were in a class and we came up against that question of like, it's not great to women. No, it's not a good book for women. And someone was like, how do I, as a female person, like deal with this? And the professor sits back and he sort of like thinks for a second and he goes, the problem with the Bible is it's a terrible book if you look for answers, and a great book if you search for questions.
Hmm.
And I think that there's like Rachel's not
Rachel does not like that.
No.
This runs
No.
counter to Catholic upbringing.
And he said that like the Bible is horrible to women and that we should like question the social structures that created a book that was horrible to women.
Was this the Jewish professor you had?
Yes, he was
I
Jewish,
knew it.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely not Catholic.
Yeah.
But his whole point was
Okay,
like
that makes more sense.
anything you come to in the Bible where you're like, wait, I don't like this. Like dig into that and be like, why don't I like this? And what was it about this book that made it be written that way?
And then what yeah, exactly. That. Yeah.
And that's like a great methodology by which to deal
Yeah.
with literally anything.
Yeah.
Like if you find something you find
That's-
gross, be like, why is this gross?
That's the crux of analysis in
Yeah.
literature.
Yeah.
Is like I don't do well with trying to make a point in conversation because I get frustrated and become Larry David. And like when it comes to books I like, that gets amplified even more. And it's like Dune, which, surprise to anyone listening, I like Dune a lot.
I think that's also been referenced in every podcast.
Yeah, every
in front of the
single
pod,
episode.
Dune. Like I was talking to a couple of friends and they're like, I hated that Paul is just the white savior and that. I was like, but he's not. And like, well, I don't get that. I was like, well, did you read the book? And like, no, I just watched the movie. I was like, well, okay, there's a second part in the book that picks up where the movie left off, but also all of the things that you're saying right there are there for a reason, and you should question what that is. And that's just kind of the way you interact with literature.
Yeah.
And that's what makes an art instead of, Stephen King, which I like. I like Stephen King. Like he's a fun writer to just pick up and like, and then you're done. But like, there's not a lot that you're going to read Salem's Lot and be like, what does this say about the discomfort of being a vampire in New England in the 70s? That doesn't track. But it's like the analysis portion comes into play when you're reading something that is heavy and seems to be doing one thing but also doing another thing. It's like, well, why is it doing that? And you start thinking, and the brain is a thinking machine. And we need to destroy computers. You should not make a machine in the image of a man. Mentats are the way forward.
Aaron has gone from talking about Dune to doing a Dune.
But yeah, no. It's just very fucking frustrating because like when we're recording this is like the writers' strike going on right now. And on top of all the streaming rights and more like payment stuff that is at the crux of the strike, there is also the ever-growing concern about AI. And you have companies that are trying, like outright trying to create an AI program that can create a long-form narrative. And they know, and studio heads know, that AI is never going to be able to create that kind of art that will make you question things. But that's not the goal. The goal is to create something that's on par with the Marvel Cinematic Universe or Michael Bay. And the thing
Something
about
that will make them money.
Yeah, and the thing about those movies is that they employ a lot of people behind the scenes. And the goal of this all is to cut those people out and replace them with machines. So what I'm getting at is you should donate to the entertainment writers, the entertainment community fund, support the writers' strike. Don't go to new movies while the strike is going on. Don't watch new shit that's premiering on streaming. Stand in solidarity.
So, Aaron, if you were a good Marxist, you would know that what you were talking about was the investment of dead capital and the degradation of living capital as expressed in Capital Volume 1.
I've fallen asleep and I've woken up and become a capitalist. So repulsive is that phrasing. I'm putting on the guise of being an economist so that I sound serious.
Okay, can I circle back to like Elliot
Absolutely.
Rodgers really quick? I was just
No
thinking-
end call.
Well, I just had a thought. It might be really stupid, but like conservatives are all about like stop being so soft and like pull yourself up by your fucking bootstraps and like blah 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 blah. So it's like why can't these people who are like, steps away from, not steps, that's whatever. Like people who are like incels, like why aren't the conservatives like going after them? You know what I mean? Like they're you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
Because
so
they're extremely soft.
They are extremely soft. It is
they're
true.
in the recent Behind the Bastard stuff about Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
Robert Evans goes into that a little bit. Like Andrew Tate starts eating the incel move a bit and like playing up his alphaness and trying to rip down the incels. So it's like they're doing that because the Ouroboros of destructive conservatism must continue. The snake must eat itself. So they are, in answer to your question.
It's just like
your analysis is accurate, Rachel.
I want to say good, but I don't think
it's not a good. None of this is good. Humanity is not good. Humanity should not have been allowed to exist. We should have should not have been allowed to get onto the land. Everything started to decline
when we started becoming a patriarchy.
Ancestors should have been eaten by megalodons.
I like how
we still have megalodons today.
Yeah, we'd still have megalodons. The Meg could have been a documentary
made by other Megs because all the humans would have been gone.
Nothing but all Megs.
I like that we talked about the Elliot Rodger story. Rachel was like, hey, here's an Elliot Rodger question. And then we decided that what we have now is a lateral move.
Yeah.
Which is not wrong, but is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what lessons are there, Shark?
On today's episode, we learned
what are our action items to close out the podcast?
Just like when you come across someone who you think is weird, ask some questions. And you can still condemn them at the end of that conversation, but condemn them because they suck shit and not because you're confused. by how they live their life.
Mm. I think like you can also more broadly like just encourage people around you to show humanity
Yeah.
toward each
Mhm.
other. Like if there is a toxic one of well, there all right. One of the many toxic things about the internet is that it breeds a lack of humanity. Instead of just saying, "Oh, that's a cute picture of a dog asleep on a dude," for whatever reason, the initial compulsion is to comment, "Oh, that he's visibly Eurasian," and you don't get from zero to visibly Eurasian. You there are gears that need to shift, and you can stop that by showing humanity. I don't know.
And if you ever encounter a theory of everything guy, someone who's like, here's how men and women interact, or here's what gender is, or here's how sexuality works. Whenever you encounter one of those guys, just kick them in the nuts. Just as hard as you can.
You have two options: show humanity or kick them in the nuts.
Yeah. And don't do the first one, the theory of everything, guys.
Yeah, it's just
Theory of everything, guys. Do things like have really dark opinions about women. Or
post,
try
oh, he
to,
looks visibly Eurasian on the internet.
have answers to the Jewish question.
Yeah.
These are theory of everything, guys. And just don't. Just
Yeah.
don't.
Maybe pass them the number of your therapist or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good point.
Alan-
Take them to it. Well, maybe not. Don't take them, but point them in the direction of an Ailstorm concert so they can see that people of all stripes and genders and sexualities can go all have fun in the mosh pit, and it's gonna be fine.
Yep. So palette cleansed.